Yo, all right, it's working. All right, that works well. What's up, Jay? How you doing? Can you hear me? Oh, I don't even have you guys up. Hold on, add to stage. Boom. Everybody there? Can you guys hear me?
Yes. How you
Man,
doing? What's up?
good, man. What's up, man?
Yep,
Hey, let's try to
I
figure
can
out.
hear you.
Oh, Ben, everybody's here. Let's get it. It's good to see everybody. I have no idea why my thing is only showing like this thing. This got issues. This got issues. All right, but anyways, oh, there it goes. That's better. We all in here. What's up, y'all? How
Good.
you doing? Good to see everybody.
What's up? I want to know where Ben is. Ben's got the the knitted blanket over his legs.
Oh, whoa,
Must be
whoa.
somewhere
Ben is
cold.
getting is in North Carolina, bro. It's 38 degrees out this morning.
Sure
Yeah,
enough.
I've got a leg in a brace. I just had knee surgery 2 weeks ago, so I
Oh,
am
I'm sorry.
in a chair laying
Golly.
down. Yeah, I have this blanket on, but yeah,
Man, I hate that. You doing okay though? How you healing up?
yeah, doing okay. Had to put the business on hold for January just because I can't run appointments without being able to walk.
Yeah, that's what so that's what you said. Why are you not trying to close them on the phone?
I haven't had a lot of success closing on the phone,
Okay.
and so I thought in terms of cost, it's better to turn off Google Ads because I'm
Yeah.
spending uh, about 7 grand a month on Google Ads. Like that's
Sure.
my ad spend is like 7 grand. So I turned that off for January. I'm still following up with people. Um, but yeah, I mean, maybe I could close. Maybe I could close, but I find that very difficult. Because then
Okay.
going out to the properties is another
Yeah.
thing. I'd have to hire someone to do that.
Now you're in Raleigh, but are
Yeah,
you in all of North Carolina? Are you running your ads in all of North Carolina?
I'm not. I'm running it basically 100 miles from Raleigh, so I'm in kind of an hour and a half radius around Raleigh.
Is Charlotte 100 miles of Raleigh?
Uh, no, Charlotte's farther.
Okay, because like that one out there in Mount Holly was like near Charlotte.
Yeah, so sometimes with my ads, I'll get randoms, basically because how they've explained to me is uh, someone came into my territory, and while they're in my territory, that's when they requested the ad, even though they live somewhere else. So that
Okay.
they were within my area for Google, but then the address is somewhere else. So it kind of sometimes that happens with like South Carolina leads, where every now and then, probably like once every 2 months, I'll get a weird South Carolina lead that I can't
Hmm.
do a lot with.
Okay. Random. Okay. All right. Sweet. Well, that makes sense, Dan. That's very interesting. Okay, cool. Well, I'd love to ask. So I'm about to turn. We've had really, really good luck with PPL. We can even talk about some of that stuff because, like, I think I shared with you guys in our last call marketing spin, and I can kind of give you guys an update on all of that stuff if you want. But we've had really good luck with PPL. I actually am about to bring in Facebook ads in house instead of doing like the lead kitchen stuff. Doing it Facebook ads in house. I recorded like 13 ads this morning in 30-degree weather. It was freezing cold outside, but got it
Mhm.
done, made it happen so that I could get these ads out there. So that was my goal. And then yeah, and so that's been so been running on that. And then I'm thinking about I just finished our website. We're actually rebranding, new name, new everything, new website. So I had a new website made, finished it, it's launched now. We now, and sorry for everybody in North Carolina, we now are webuycarolinas.com. But like our name is People First Property Solutions, but we own the domain webuycarolinas.com. And so we have that. And then we're going to be running PPC on that. So who are you using, Ben?
I use Bateman Collective.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to be going with PPC Force. So I'm really interested to see because I love Brandon, like fantastic dude.
Mhm.
I get along with him super well at CG, and so we have a good time together. But I'm glad you're liking it. Are you liking them?
Yeah, I've used them for the last year. They've been really good. Um, Before surgery, it's like fourth quarter was terrible. Didn't get a single deal. Part of that was running appointments, not you know mismanaging how I'm running appointments. But fourth quarter is when I doubled my ad spend. So I went, or like triple. I went from 2,000 to 7,
Yeah, sounds
and
like it.
still didn't close anything, get a contract. So I'm getting a lot of good leads, but I'm not able to convert them, which is frustrating.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Are you do you think it was election time, or do you think, but like end of year is always really slow anyway, nobody's pulling the trigger? Do you feel like, have you already started to see a little bit of uptick in the conversations you've had this year so far, even though you're in surgery half of the year so far?
Yeah, hard to tell. For
Yep.
me, like surgery's tanked everything. Put a lot of things on pause. I went down to Atlanta to do some more training in mid-December, so I think that was a good mindset shift. Of
Good. You go
hey,
down with
I'm
Ren. Who did you do training with down in Atlanta?
my brother Chris Burrow. He's in whatever the top level of CG is. He's in that.
CEO?
So no, not CEO, just mid
Premiere?
CEO. What is that? Yeah, he's in Premiere.
Oh, who is he? I'm in Premiere. That I didn't know who that.
Chris Burrow. He's out of Atlanta.
I think we talked about
His
this.
company is, what's the name of his company? Maximum Cash Home Buyers is the name. Max
Nice.
Cash.
Well, nice, man. Why didn't you work for your brother?
He's in Atlanta, and I'm running my thing in North Carolina. So instead of just family, I think it's best to stay in your lane. And he's kind of my unofficial coach, mentor.
Nice.
So it's made me successful to a point of I haven't had to make the same mistakes he's made, because he
Yeah.
said, like, don't do this, don't do that. But I'm still trying to pave my own way and build something.
A smart person learns from his own mistakes. A wise person learns from others. So
Yeah, exactly.
good, man. Fantastic. Love that. Well, good, man. Well, sweet. I'd love to dive in and hear how a little bit more PPC. What's your team look like? Is it you?
Me, I'm a one-man show.
That's what I thought. Nice, man. Crushing it. Well, good. That's awesome. So you could take like didn't get a contract in Q4, like you guys you're okay. If you're
I'm fine. I'm fine. I've got reserves for the next 4 months.
Good.
But I've turned that off. So like once I start back in February, I've got a runway for 4 months. So I'm not worried. It's where I see is my house is on fire, but it is not nowhere close to burning down. I'm just I've got a garden hose. I just haven't turned it on yet.
Okay. All right. It's getting a little toasty. It's getting a little toasty for you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, good to know, man. All right. So today I was planning on talking a little bit more about Dispo, but if anybody has anything that's like pressing, I would love to be able to chat with you guys on some of that stuff. I'd walk you guys through some of our Dispo process, some of the things that we've learned, the ways that we're dispoing, the softwares we're using. Because like the one thing that you could lock in contracts, but if you can't sell them, doesn't mean anything. Because ultimately, too, if you lock them in too high, it makes it difficult. Yeah, what's up, John?
Hey, what's going on?
Dude.
I've been waiting to actually communicate with you from the last meeting about if you just can walk through the process of how you were able to gain the success from last week, because you were able to get these deals drawn up, and then you were able to close on 2 of those deals. And if you just can just start from cradle to grave of how you got that done, if you don't mind, that would be great.
Yeah, man. So again, a lot of this is like predicated on your buyer's list. So that's what's really cool is, so like we got a foreclosure, and the foreclosure was like a low equity sub 2 in Charlotte. I mean, when I say low equity, I mean like house is worth 175, principal is 172. And then and actually, I'm sorry, the principal is 162 and they were behind 16K. So underwater, right? But the interest rate, I think it was like a 2.7 or 3.1, one of those two. So people are like, a 2.1 in Charlotte? I'll take it. I'll be underwater for a 3% interest rate in Charlotte. So I posted it on my story, but I also knew of some guy, especially here in Charlotte, that wraps sub 2. So like it doesn't really matter, because what he does is, and this is, we can talk about this too, where he'll take a property, especially like something like a subject 2. It's a little bit riskier with subject 2s, but you can still totally do it. But he'll take a subject 2 property, And I actually know a guy in CG who started a fund just for these types of things. But he'll actually take them, wrap the note, so he keeps the note, right? So like he's still in charge of paying that note off, but then he wraps it to an end buyer. So then the end buyer is now paying him a mortgage. He sells it to an end buyer on like a lease option. So he's wrapping the underlying mortgage on a lease option to a new buyer. And so the new buyer is now paying him a mortgage, and he's paying the old mortgage through like either a note servicing, or he just has it on auto deposit, or like auto withdrawal. So and a lot of times these work very, very, very well. No, this isn't Jeff. This is Michael, a guy named Michael. So a lot of times these work very, very, very well when you're in anywhere, but especially in like southern states like Texas, Florida, Alabama, where you have like a lot of, or California, maybe. Nothing works well in California, but like if you have if you can actually get a lot of Hispanic, a lot of the Hispanic demographic that, one, doesn't have a green card, two, can't qualify for any sort of loan from anywhere. And then what happens is a lot of them are really hardworking. A lot of them put their blood, sweat, and tears into their houses. That is like, they know, I want to go to America, I want to buy a house, and I want to like, that's how I'll build wealth. So you have a lot of these Hispanics that work really hard, can't get a bank loan, but can put down like 40K on a house. And so a lot of times what you'll do is, so I'll go in, and at like the minimum will be 15K that you have on a wrap like this, where you say, hey, the down payment is, typically the down payment that I like is replaces whatever my entry fee was. So if like I pay 25K to sub to this thing, then they're gonna have to pay me 25 to 30K as their down payment to do a lease option. So now I don't have to worry about tenants, trash, and toilets. I just own the note. The house is his. He owns it. And so I have the note. He's paying me a mortgage, and then I'm paying the underlying mortgage on that, which is the sub 2 note. So it's like a double mortgage on there, but it's just called a wrap. And so, oh my gosh, what's up? Daughter just scared me. Snuck up on me. He's crazy. He's kids. So so yeah, so like we got a buyer that did that. So the house has no equity, but it has a really low interest rate. So this guy, we closed on it today. This guy, he actually goes and signs it. The seller signed it too, and he's signing at 3. So this guy that I know, he actually went and we wholesaled it to him for 25K. Like the entry fee was 25K. But what we did was the reinstatement was 16. So then we're just getting the delta. So we're making like 8,300 on this, because I knew there was no equity. There wasn't enough equity for us to get like a good assignment fee on this. I just wanted it to get sold. And that's a really good way to take houses with literally like zero equity. Man, I should have like whiteboarded that. That's a good way to take like a house with zero equity at all. And then still, I mean, we made 85K on an assignment with no equity. And it's because we assigned the sub 2 to these people, and they're going to go and wrap it. And so that 25K he puts in, he's probably going to go and get that back from, honestly, a Hispanic family, like working construction, they build, they whatever, work in a restaurant, whatever, but they just can't get a green card. They can't qualify for a loan. And they live there, and they're really hardworking people. It's just that by nature of our system and what they're able to do. So yeah, that's a good way to kind of do that. So that's what we did with that one. And that just came because like we got the deal, foreclosure. It did end up stopping the auction, and because the auction was supposed to be Monday, which was like 3 or 4 days ago, we got that postponed. And then we reinstated. We're doing the reinstatement today. So did that. And then the second one, I had, yeah. So I had a house, this was a PPL lead, had a house in, a really nice park, Genesis Park, which is like in Charlotte, right near Uptown. And I actually went to the buyer before I got it under contract, because this guy wanted a lot. So I was like, hey, okay, can I get a buyer I got a buyer at 190, and this guy wanted 175. And I was like, all right, sure. But like, we're actually going to do an open house on that one. I just knew that I had buyers at 190, so I can offer him that. Because like I offered him 140. Oh, sorry, I offered him 242, 600. It's worth 385. I offered him 242. He was like, no. And I was like, okay. And so then like he was like, I got somebody at 275. I'm actually going to record this. I've got 3 or 4 calls with this guy. One was in person, and just in bit for Ben, like Ben was talking about, like in person is just so good. I was talking to this guy, and this guy was like, look, I got these offers. None of them have been to my house. I want you to have this. Like, I trust you. I love you. Like, I want it to be you. And he's like, none of them have ever been out here. It was a big deal for him that I had gone out to his house, and I wanted this deal. He had a guy at 275. I was like, I'm not going to be anywhere near 275. I was like 260 something. And he was like, no. And I was like, okay, how about this? Would you allow me? I didn't want to do an installment because there's not enough spread for an installment. So I was like, hey, would you allow me to do an open house on your house, where I can have for about 2 hours? I have a lot of my investor partners come in, and I knew that I had a couple at 290 already. And I was like, well, a couple of my investor partners come in for about 2 hours. If I can't get you that price, one of my investor partners can get you that price. And then like, here's the good thing. If anybody ever pushes back on like, well, you're not the one buying it. And you go, hey man, like ultimately you want that 275 number or whatever that number is. I can't get you that, but I have one of my partners. It's almost like if you're running through the desert and you're like dehydrated and you're about to die, and I don't have a bottle of water, but my friend has a bottle of water. Are you going to turn down his bottle of water? Like, like no, like you're about to dehydrate and die. If I can't bring you the money, I know somebody that's going to be able to bring you the property to be able to close on it. So then he said, yeah, we can go ahead and do that. And so we'll get that contract today. And then another one actually came from Ben. So Ben, I messaged you on what you wanted for that lead. Did you get my Slack for that? I can't hear you. You're muted. Sounds like. I sent you a Slack. Cool. I said, yo, how much do you want for that lead? We're heading over today to talk to him.
Cool. Awesome.
So we got a contract on that one. It's nothing crazy. But that one, it's in the middle of like, it's not in like a super highly populated part of Charlotte, but we have a good enough buyers list that we were like, hey, we know these people that want to buy in Charlotte. So we locked it in, and then we actually like either already like later that day had a buyer for it. And it's partially because of like our buyers list. So it's really good to be able to have a buyers list. Sometimes too, depending on the location, and if I think we're gonna have like a good opportunity to get a lot of people out there for an open house, which I always would want to default to, I will just sell it to like New Western because I don't care.
For that open house, are you doing New Western, or are you having people come in for that 2 hours?
No, we do our own open houses in good areas. So like Charlotte, anything in Charlotte, we do our own open house. And this has actually been, you can look this up. Maybe. I don't think you can. It was in Premiere. So maybe you can get this one. You can probably request it from Mercedes. But cool. But I watched this guy's on he did a presentation on open houses. So essentially, he's up in Rhode Island. He does about 8 million a year in Rhode Island, a tiny market. His average wholesale assignment fee is $46,000. And it's because what he does is he's built up such a good buyers list. They have about 40 people out to every open house. And so what he does is no matter what they locked it in at, he always has the starting price for the open house at 70%. So like so he always has it at 70%. What that means is like if it's 380, then like we'll put the even if we got it, okay, just for instance, if the house is at 100, and let's say I got the property at 70,000, I start the open house at 70,000. Because what happens is investors, they want a deal, and they want to know that you're going to have a deal. So you want them to open every email you send. You want them to open every text message and be interested in every deal you send out, because they know that at least your house, you bring deals. Because a lot of times what we do is we go, well, I want maximum dollar. Well, it's like, of course. So then you put it out, and then people are like, that guy's just going to send me a crazy lead. I don't want that. Hey, can you put some ice in this? So then they're going to be like, oh, this investor, he sends out bad deals. I don't even want to look at this. But if you put it out at like what they want to buy it for. So this guy in CG, he was also like, he pretty much was like, hey, I put out deals at less than what I got them for sometimes. And then he says on average, they're averaging 40K assignment fees. So like they'll get 80,000 assignment fees, because you got to think about it. if you put a price out there and you have like 2 or 3 people at an open house and they don't show up at the same time, then it looks like nobody's interested. If you got 40 people at an open house, there's people that are like, shoot, this house is hot. Like, I need to put in my highest and best. And then he has them put in their highest and best by the next day. Thank you so much. So like that's how we do our open houses as well. We put them out at 70%. Sometimes 70% minus repairs, depending on how deep we got them, but at least at like 70%, regardless of what we got it at. That's what we put the starting price at for it. And then they end up like highest and best or like bidding up from there. And then if there's people that are close, we go, hey, look, you've got one less. If they're, then we just go, hey, look, we've got people at this price point. If you want to come up a little bit more, we won't do a lot of back and forth like that, but we will give like our premier buyers the opportunity to match or not match, but like go above. But we, it's really like highest and best by noon the next day. So that's like our, we send out a flyer for that. And so like that's our, let me see. Let me even just show you. Here's one that we did in Charlotte. Let's see. It should be on my Facebook. Man, I like this StreamYard app, but it's impossible for me to. I don't know how to use this thing. It jacks me up every time. All right. So
when you're doing highest and best, if I've never done that before on listings, but if you're doing an open house highest and best, how do you then get them to, if let's say you're in it for 70, you list it for 70, how are you getting them to price it higher without telling them, hey, I've already got an offer for this amount? Are you leveraging other offers to get a higher price?
Yeah, you could totally do that. Or if somebody comes in at that price, you just go, hey, we've got a higher offer than this. We got a higher offer than this. Are you interested in coming a little bit higher for this? So it really just comes down to now. One, I will say that dispo sales is a different skill set than acquisition sales. There is no doubt about that. I don't say this anyway. I am a monster when it comes to like direct to seller acquisition sales. I am not great at dispo sales. I'll be the first to admit it. My partner is really my partner is really good at dispo sales. I'm just not. So I let him handle a lot of that stuff, but really it just comes down to the process. As long as your process is dialed in with it, and then you build your buyers list. So one of the things that we do, we have 3 people when it comes to like our disposition teams. Really, you just need 2, but three is good. 2 is really good too. So you have one person who's a prospector. This is typically going to be a VA. They're prospecting, and I got this from a guy named Rin, and he's developed this thing called 75 hard. So if you get a property, anytime you get a property under contract, you have a VA. Their goal is to build 75 buyers in that zip code. Wherever that house is, that zip code. 25 cash buyers, 25 investor realtors, and 25 like either buy and hold people or so like you have 25 agents, 25 cash buyers, and then 25 I think it's like 8 I can't, give me a second. Let me look it up for you because I want to get you exactly what it is. But we really like we try to make them hone in on like the 25 hard. So don't like, you can't even go to 75 hard. You can't even go to another zip code unless you've got got that dialed in. Give me a second. Let me look up exactly what the 25. Yo, where am I? Not where am I, but where is this? Does anybody have questions like on anything? Because I just talked a lot about that.
Anything, or do you want to stay on dispo?
Anything is fine. Let me find this 2075 hard real quick.
Okay.
Let me find this. Oh, I thought I was just gonna be able to find it, and I am not. I know where it is. Trainings, first impressions.
while you're looking for that
That's not right.
dispo related question,
Yeah.
same topic. So VA sources 75 in the zip code, and then if there are going to be a lot of LLCs, how do they skip trace the LLCs?
Yeah, that's the hard part. Skip tracing LLCs, you'd have to go with like open corporates. I will say one of the good things that I like, I don't even know if what's it called? 80/20, which is like 80/20 is also a data company. They have a really good, oh man, I'm about to share with you guys so many good things. But 80/20 has they have a really good corporate skip tracing. And then buyer sonar is, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Audantic. Audantic is a data company as well. So like 80/20 and Audantic, they're a predictive AI data company. They charge about 25,000 a year for their data alone. So I've used 80/20. We used 80/20, but I actually found that, and you guys have this. Yeah, Jay, whatever it was, I'll show it again. I don't know what you're talking about, but you guys actually have. I use Kind data now. So if you're looking for good data, we should have in like a resource section. Kind, their data, their predictive data is really, really good, and at the fraction of what 80/20 data costs me. Sheesh. And I think their skip tracing is better too. So that's definitely something that you guys should consider if you're going to try to go and do like cold calling or texting. I would consider that. I would consider that pretty heavily. Give me a second. 75? No? Yes? No? Okay, here he goes. 25 cash buyers, fix and flip. Yeah, okay, this was right. 25 landlords, and then 25 realtors closed with cash buyers. So that's what you want. So the way that you would do that, there's a couple different ways. I'll show you guys a couple of the ways that I find cash buyers, but then also how to find landlords is pretty simple. That's literally just by going on Zillow, look at all the houses for rent in that area, and then calling those landlords and be like, hey, are you interested in more properties? Oh, yeah? Okay, cool. Well, how'd you do our buyers list? Boom. So that's how you find 25 landlords. Now, the apps that I use to find, I'm going to show you two of them, Buyer Sonar, and the other one is Investor Base. I used to use Investor Lift, but I actually like Investor Base for what we do because we actually already have a back-end platform. Whereas like one of the biggest benefits for Investor Lift is that they have you have a it's almost like a dispo landing page where people can look at all of your deals that you have, but I found that people don't really do that. And I find that the only people that are looking for deals in my area are wholesalers. There's not even cash buyers that are actually really using it. So I found that Investor Base is like way more beneficial for us. We do have a code for Investor Base. I think it gets you like $100 off your first month if you guys want to try it. But let me show you Audantic and Buyer Sonar and Investor Base. Both of these are fantastic. Before I jump into these apps, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, with your dispo process, how much are you wholesaling versus doing an installment or doing a wholesale versus flipping?
Okay, great question. So this literally is I would say, okay, cool. I would say that this literally is like a market by market thing. In the current state of our market right now, I do not care to put another house on the MLS. Typically, like you would think that would be the case because you're going to get the most. My experience has been that in the past like 6 to 7 months, things are not selling on the MLS. They just aren't. But I will tell you, to cash buyers, less than a week. So like that just has been the case across the board for me and for other people that I know. So I would rather at this point, like we just don't put anything on the MLS right now. So unless it's in South Carolina or something like that, we put on the MLS if we've got it on an installment. But my for this year, our plan in general is to wholesale like 80%. I actually put together, and you guys asked for this, and I did not send it to you. I'm sorry. You got to bug me. Y'all got to bug me, or ask Tiffany, and she'll remind me to get it for you. But what I have done, he wasn't on the stage. So what we're doing this year is 80% just straight wholesale. So even in North Carolina, this is our stipulations. Anything under a $30,000 assignment, we're wholesaling, just straight up wholesaling. If it's over 30,000, like in the 40 range, then we're doing an installment on it because we'll lock in our profits that way. And I can be able to give like I can be able to beat anybody else because I'm saying I'm giving non-refundable money. For instance, we got one in Charlotte last week. Actually, I'm sorry, we don't even have it yet. My guy was supposed to get it Friday, then he was supposed to get it Saturday, then he was supposed to get it Sunday. And I think he's supposed to be getting it today. Otherwise, I'm stepping in and I'm getting it. But the biggest thing that we're able to do is I know we're gonna make, and this is like I have like that 10% rule, but I'm a little bit not on the 10% rule on this one. But I think we're gonna make anywhere between like 60 and 70 on this deal in Charlotte. The guy's already told us we are by far his lowest offer, but we are giving him $10,000 non-refundable money. So he's like, all right, okay. Like, I don't want to risk having the bad experience with somebody else, or like, I need money now. Like, he's like, I need money now. He was like, I got stuff going on and I need money now. And so I'm like, okay. Like Ben, that contract that lead you gave us, this is a different one, but we're giving this guy $5,000 non-refundable money because he just was like, I've been burned too many times by wholesalers. I need something non-refundable. And so I'm like, okay, all right. So we're doing like, we'll do that. And that builds a ton of trust. So for this guy, we're doing an installment since we're doing 10,000 non-refundable. I don't want this guy to run off on us. I want to make sure that I protect my 10K, but I want to lock this in because we're going to make 60 to 70 on it. And so then what I'm doing is locking in my profits. I'm able to protect myself on my non-refundable deposit. And I know that like he can't go anywhere because it's on an installment. But yeah, what's up, John?
So with the installment by default, let's say within the transaction itself, you're essentially getting a deed to the property, correct?
So no, we are not.
No?
We are.
Okay.
It's close though. We're creating very similar to a contract for deed. We're getting listed on title as an owner, but the deed doesn't transfer until we pay it off in full. But that's like a little nuance of it. But yeah.
Understood. But he can't go out and sell it to anybody else because of the binding agreement based upon the non-refundable, the terms that he agreed to, correct?
Yeah, and then and like according to the title of the property, I am an owner on it. So like if he goes and talks to somebody else, I got to sign it. Like I got to sign off on it. I'm not signing off on that. So
would this work actually also in? Yeah, I think I asked you this before, but it won't work in Texas, right? Or will it?
So Texas has it's hard finding an attorney that will do it, and you said you may have known one.
Yes.
What I would do is like I would just I mean you just need to negotiate seller finance terms with people, so then you can. But then that would actually be you transferring the deed over to them.
Okay.
But that's what I would say. Ooh, hold on, we got a PPL lead. I got to send this to the team. This is like when these come in, you got to stop. You got to stop what you're doing and get it on over to the team. So yeah, so in Texas, they have laws against contract for deed, not seller finance, but contract for deed. You have to but like you can do them, but only up to 90 days, which makes a lot of attorneys not want to do them in Texas.
Right, but if I get it sold within the 90 days, I should be perfectly fine. Okay, great. And is there a way I can get that contract from you?
I cannot. So that is one that is that is not included on anything because like I don't even, and I think we've talked about this. I own like 5% of the installment method. And so that's like the attorneys, they have that. I had to sign like an NDA. I can't give that contract. I teach everything on the installment method and how to use it and how to talk to people. But when it comes to contracts, I can't do anything with that. So that's the only thing I cannot do. So I'm sorry.
How's the best way for me to inquire? Just go directly on the website and try to.
Yeah, I can connect you.
Okay.
Send me a text and I'll connect you because I know that like we're having an issue finding a good attorney that will do it. So if you know an attorney you can connect us with, then we can like explain it to them and really walk them through it. Then that would be fantastic.
Yeah. The only thing that he cares about, he'll figure out ways. The only thing he cares about is money.
Okay. All right.
I'm just being transparent. That's all he cares about.
There you go.
I just got off the phone with him like yesterday, and he's like, "Well, what's in it for me?" And then I had to tell him what's in it for him.
Oh, so. Cool. Yeah, I mean, like, what's also in it for him is like he would be the only attorney in Texas.
Yes. Yeah,
so like, and we got a lot of people that want to do these in Texas, in different parts of Texas. So like, that's what would be in it for him.
Yeah, and he
We're
also
happy to
has his
talk with
own
him.
title company as well.
Yeah, then like yeah, definitely connect us so we can get you doing some installments out there, man.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so back to that. So that's what we when it comes to like locking in a deal, we'll put down that non-refundable money because like we're protected with an installment. Or I will sometimes do it with like a notice of interest, which is essentially like a memorandum. You could also cloud the title, but I've seen memorandums be recorded over, so it doesn't completely cover you. But yeah. I was gonna show you guys. Okay, let me show you guys investor base and Ben. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, we're good.
Cool. I don't remember what it was. I'm sorry. All right. So this is Buyer Sonar. I like Buyer Sonar. It costs $250. Sorry, it costs $750 per MSA or per area, per region. So I've got like Charlotte, Concord, Gastonia, and then Charleston. This will give you literally up to date buyer activity in your area. So for instance, like this house was sold 5 days ago. This house was sold here to a local buyer who's bought one house on average for $15,000. And then if I want to though, I can check like I can look at a little bit more so I can see Open Door bought this one or who's bought, and then I can sort it by how many. So more filters. How many purchases have they had in the last 8 months? So if I put 2, I know that it's probably an investor, and I can look and see. All right, who is like InvestCar LLC? That's New Western. What you could also do, you guys are ready for this? You can click on this, right? InvestCar LLC. You can actually go to the county, look up InvestCar LLC, all of their buyers, and you can see actually who you could look at all the properties that they are on the deed for, and then who are their buyers? Because like they've got the best buyers list in the world. So Jay, you asked for who New Western is. It's a dispositions company. It's literally a company that dispos deals at, and like they can dispo your deal even if you lock it in high because they have the best buyers list in the country. So like I'm like, well, I want their buyers list. So then I would go in, look up the county data, look up transactions that involved InvestCar LLC, and then like see who they are selling to because they double close everything, which means that they are actually selling to them. And then you've got like other people like, oh, Better Path. I know them. That's Stephanie Betters. She's awesome. So then we can see how many they've bought. They've purchased 5. And then then what happens is you can just start gathering these LLCs. And then through here, as you gather these LLCs and Buyer Sonar allows you to skip trace these LLCs or these people who are buyers on here. So it costs me $750 per region. So we have Charleston and Charlotte area region, and I can find all of the buyers. And so we'll have our people go through, find these buyers like Northway Homes 2025 LLC. They've bought 2 houses in the last 8 months. So cool. I'll see if they want to buy any more. Some people buy more, some people buy less.
Just real quick, this is for the year per region, or is it annual, or is it by?
I don't know.
Okay.
I really have no idea. I'm gonna be honest with you. Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
No, I think it's one time $750.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I think. But it's like completely like look at this. All of these houses, 1.8, 1.7, 1.7, 1.7. Like these are all very recent. Like this just happened. Open Door just bought this house. So we can see, or 132 Wayne Avenue. That's probably this LaSalle Street. I'm talking to somebody on LaSalle Street.
What's the name of the web? I'm looking at the website, but it's small on my iPhone.
Oh yeah, you need Buyer Sonar. I know. I'm gonna see if I can get you guys hooked up with that. I know the guy for Audantic. See if I can get you guys hooked up with something like that, or get you guys hooked up with that because I like it. I think it's fantastic and it works really, really well when it comes to finding good buyers. And then this next one here is Investor Base. This guy, he came to CG because this was like Investor Lift has been the only other thing. And I used Investor Lift for a really long time because I thought it was pretty cool and what it had. And it allows you to essentially like dispo on here. And it's got good features. And Robert Winsley, who's the owner, He does a great job at continually adding stuff and pushing the status quo on this and using AI. So I think Investor Lift is a good alternative. It's a little more expensive. Their base is $5,000 a year, all the way up to like $50,000 a year. And so, but Investor Base I think is only like $200 a month, or $300 a month, which is $2,000 a year. So I think it's only like $200 a month. I'll show you exactly how it works for us. So like, let's say we have a house here. I don't care. Let's see. Is there an address in Charlotte? Let me try to think. Okay, here we go. 1730 Wood Valley. So we own this house down here in Charlotte, 1730 Wood Valley Road. And so you could see like what we did with this house, but it brings it in and it shows you all of the people who would be the most ideal. So you see like it has like smart match. These people, based off of what they've done, would be fantastic buyers for this house. For instance, this blue one right here, you can see that this person bought this house for $205, and they flipped it. And so like you can see all of the activity in this area. Like there's a buy and hold person right here who bought this one for 200. This person bought this one. This is an arm's length. This person bought this one for 450. Oh no, sorry, I'm sorry. They bought it for they bought it for 65, sold it for 450. That's crazy. Sheesh. This person bought this for 205, sold it for 395. So like those are flippers, and you can tell. Hold on. And then you have here 190 sold for 304. So like I like this one because it shows you like what people are going for, and then it also has a price that it suggests you sell the house at. So it's like, hey, so you guys can SFR1. We own this one right here, and then you can say like it sees what our loan about, tax balance, but this is actually like a seven bedroom house now. And then it also shows you how much that it suggests you sell this property for. So it says estimated investor price. It doesn't have anything on here, which is interesting. If I were to go here, I can adjust like, oh, if it's a 4-bedroom, but ours is actually like a 7-bed, 3-bath, but nothing's going to show up for that because there's no comps for that. So I do like that this gives me like what investors would buy this house for in this area, what people have done, buy and hold people. So then like I can prioritize talking to these people because I can go here, which is this person right here, and then add this person to my buyers list because I know that's a flipper in that area. And then I have the buyers list up here that this is actually new. And then you can, I think you can skip trace. Okay, done. Sheesh. You can skip trace these. I don't remember how. Oh yeah, skip trace and save results. So then you can have it skip traced. So it's pretty cool. I like Investor Base a lot for that reason. Are y'all still there? Okay, you are. Shoot, I can't see y'all. Does anybody have any questions about like Audante, like Buyer Sonar or Investor Base?
So is that the main place you're using to build your buyers list to increase your buyers list from what you already have?
Yeah, so it would be that, and that's how we're building up that 75 hard. Because again, like if I went to, you could do this, you can totally do this with Zillow. So 1730 Wood Valley. And if I want to find some buy and hold people here, like who are some landlords in this area, then I can just go. Wood Valley is right here on Hoskins Road. Yep, there it is. Okay, so it's over here somewhere. And then I can come in here and say for rent and look up all the houses for rent in this area and then just start calling these landlords and saying if they're interested in another house on Hoskins Road. Hey man, I got another house on Hoskins Road. It could be perfect for this. Because if you go here and then you look down, their information is right here. And usually there's a phone number right there. Usually there's phone numbers attached to this, but if not, you can also just like request a tour. Let me see. This person, yeah, see like the phone number is right here. So that's kind of how you can build a list of landlords in the area as well. And then what happens a lot of times too is you'll call this and like for instance, I bet this is a project management. I knew it. I just knew it for some reason. So this is a project management company and you can call them and then ask them if they know any other landlords in the area that are looking to buy, stuff like that. So there's a lot of little nuanced ways to build a buyer's list, because that's going to be like, honestly, that's going to be the most valuable thing long term to your company is a buyer's list. Getting contracts is good, but what makes a wholesale company not very sellable is like, you got to keep getting contracts. You got to keep getting them. But like, if you have a good buyer's list, that makes it that helps to build you up long term, that you can just like text a couple people and know that you can sell them that house quickly. So some of those are some of the tools that I use. Yeah, and there's companies like Audantic, 80/20. They have buyer data, like almost essentially like what I just showed you, but at a massive level, to where like it's like 5,000 of them, and then you just put them on a dialer, and then call all of them with the VA and ask them if they're, or text them and see if they're interested in buying property in that area. So you could do one of the two ways. That's a little bit more of like a I just have a VA do that because that's updated every day. And we're trying to do that 75 hard in each zip code, in the zip code that they're in. So, because also too, like I had a 25,000 person buyers list on Investor Lift. Maybe like 100 of them respond. So, especially if it's like an older buyers list. I mean, like I had that buyers list from like 3 or 4 years ago, and people aren't buying now like they were 3 or 4 years ago. So you just got to know what your you just want to constantly be growing it and making it better and pruning it and adding to it and stuff like that.
On your when you posted the YouTube video of all your contracts last year, what your close rate was, the ones that didn't close. 2024, from what I hear from like my brother's business, a lot of other investors had a rough 2024.
Yeah.
Are most of the contracts that didn't close, was that because of price, or were there other factors where that caused it to not close?
Good question. Some price, some because like I would say like I had VAs that were locking those in, which is cool. Like, wow, you have VAs locking in contracts. That's awesome. But what also like didn't come with that was like it also lacked a lot of trust in that process. So people like didn't trust that those VAs were like legitimately going to buy their house, or didn't build enough rapport and they went and they sold to somebody else. Because like I talked to the guy I talked to in Charlotte, I know he's going to sell me his house. There is nobody else. I think even if somebody came with a higher price, he's not selling to anybody. Like I'm going to upload it because I recorded it for you guys. It's like 3 or 4 different calls. I met with him in person, and then we had like 3 or 4 following phone calls. And like he's not going. I can tell you, I'm not worried about it. I'm not filing a memorandum. I'm not doing nothing. That guy will not sell to anybody else. But we didn't have that with those VAs. They would go and they would just sell to somebody else because the trust just wasn't there. And I do think because we're going in person now for everything in Charlotte, that makes a huge difference for us too. So we're just locking in much differently now, whereas the just VAs weren't. I mean, like I think our close rate was like, what was that? Like 50%, less than 50% last year? Like 69 contracts, 32 closings? Yeah, that's less than 50%. That's horrible. So
do you typically file memos, or what's going to make you file a memo?
The only thing that make me file a memo is if like I'm giving cash up front, like your guy, Ben, like that one, I filed a memo for that because he wanted cash up front. And I was like, sure, so sign this to protect myself, because like that's going to be, so because of that, another reason I follow that's the only reason, because if it's too much, then I'm going to do an installment.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Cause like, I don't even want to, like on that one on 60 to 70K, I don't even want to get that guy to see that we make that much. So that's why we're going to do an installment on it. Yeah. So really, if I have to give money to somebody, that's the only time. That actually is the only memo I've ever filed, ever, in the history of my business. So that's the only reason.
I've never done it either. Because once you have the trust, I haven't had anyone back out of a contract. Or
that guy, Ben, what's wild? Ben, I'd never seen this before. The guy wanted us to file and record a memo before our contract. I was like, that's not how this works. I was like, that's not quite right. Like we have to at least have a contract for a memorandum. because like the memo references the contract, but he was like, I want to make sure you guys aren't backing out. And I was like, all right,
That's
bro.
what I've never had. That's
All
right.
right.
That he's wanting a memorandum.
I know, because like I'm like, well, we're not gonna back out. You don't back out. That's why we're
Yeah.
I was like, all right, you wanted this, so it was wild. Like he was like, file that, and then I'll sign. I was like, or like we had it notarized and everything, but he hadn't even signed the contract yet. All right, bro, like whatever. So it was weird.
I have a quick question here, just to take us a step back. I haven't done my first deal yet. I'm having great conversations on the phones. I'm calling for big chunks of time, but I haven't done my. Can you talk us through the process of you getting your first couple of deals to a place where you got predictable, knowing how many calls you needed to make, to how many conversations, to how many contracts, to how many closes? Where did you initially start sourcing your leads?
Yeah, so mine was a little bit different, but mine was different because of the process was different. For you, man, one of the big things that I would say, because like I listened to your call because you asked me to listen to it, so I listened to your call. The biggest thing that I would say is like you are very, and I have a salesperson that's like this too. You are a very good conversationalist, like very good. You create really, really good relationships. I would say the biggest thing is like. And I tell this guy this all the time. He needs to be a better closer. Like actually closing people, getting people to make that commitment, either like a micro. Am I echoing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm echoing with me too. Weird.
Oh no, the Twilight Zone, the Twilight Zone.
This is weird. Yeah. Is everybody echoing? Let me see. I might mute y'all. Oh, yep, there it was. It was John's. Sorry. So, okay, so the biggest thing I would say is like focus on now creating like little micro commitments, but also that's what I call them, but also like commitments to people. So what I do is, especially when like people are asking me about a price, I'm like, man, I'm gonna see what I can do, and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna go put my neck out for you, but if I can get you that number, do you feel like we can come up with an agreement today? You know what I'm saying? So like a lot of the stuff you'll hear me say on my calls and on these calls that I'm making is like, hey, I mean, really, I'm going to upload. I got to stitch like 4 calls together and then upload them. But like, there's a lot of like, I'm going to go to this team. And I say this almost on every meeting. Hey, I'm going to go to my team. And the last thing I want to do is come back here and embarrass myself. And then honestly, like you get really upset with me because my offer is still too low. What's the number that you feel like if I could go back there, put my neck out on the line for you, and I come back with that you'd feel good moving forward with? And so then like people do that, and then I go, okay. And then this is another really good one. I say this all the time too. Okay, so if I were to come back and get you that 185 you're looking for, what would happen next? And they go, well, I'll sign a contract. And I go, cool. Okay, so we'll get a contract signed today. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, okay, sounds good. So that's how I set them up to prep to like, we got to close because you have very good conversations with people. You just need to work on your your sales process as a whole. Because like there's a difference between like creating rapport, which is good, and then having a sales process to close. And so for you, I would focus on like segmenting each stage, right? You've got like time, you've got like motivation, and of course you've got price, and then you've got like condition, all of those things, making sure you're segmenting them out to be in really solid good conversation points. Cause like what the good thing is, I could tell you had talked to that guy before, you'd build a great relationship with him. But really defining each step of the process to flow into the next one to get you to the close. So even in like the motivation side of things, I'm prepping them for a close. Like I'm almost not conditioning them, but I'm even qualifying them on like, okay, let's say we come up to a decision today. Like, oh, how long have you and your wife been talking about it? Okay, you've been talking about it for a little while. So geez, I mean, if you got the number today, you'd probably be ready to go forward, huh? So like, yeah. Or I don't know. We'd still have to think about it a little bit. Oh, okay, cool. Are you thinking like 30, 60, 90 days? Probably like 6 months. Oh, okay, 6 months. So then like you can almost taper the way you have your conversation because you don't want to waste a lot of time on people who want to sell in 6 months. So I would say for you, it is just like really dialing in your sales process a little bit more. You really are great on the phone though, man. I almost am like, geez, he's too nice on the phone. But you're really nice. You're really good on like you're a great conversationalist. Yeah. I would also say that's a little bit of my feedback too, is like just a clearer direction for your phone calls. You do a really good job with it, but it's easy to get lost. Like it's easy to get lost in the conversation. Really try to still continue to control it. Cool.
Hey, Devin.
Yeah. Yo, what up, Steve?
What up? What up, man? I'm moving around today. That's why I wasn't
Making it
on with the
happen.
camera and stuff. Just walking out of Lowe's here.
Making money moves.
I'm trying, man. Trying to get something straightened out here at this property. Question for you. You mentioned at least 30K on installments. Why is that? Can you clarify?
Yeah, for sure. One, because there is non-refundable money that's paid up front. So I want to make sure that I make that money back at least, because like in North Carolina, if I put $1,000 down, I'm spending like $4,000 for an installment. It's definitely cheaper in South Carolina. So there you've got like that 4,000, which like 3,000 of it is non-refundable. And then from there, if you're listing it, then you've got listing fees, right? You have $800 if you're doing a flat fee service, which I've got a good flat fee service person. It's my mom. She's awesome. But if anybody needs a flat fee person in North Carolina, she could do that for you. And then, so there's $800 there. And then like, if I have to, if we sell it to somebody and they have some sort of like repair concessions, or they want home warranty on it, or if we're splitting closing costs and they're not taking all the closing costs, that eats into that 30K really quick and turns it to like 15. So that's why 30K is our minimum for installments.
Got you. Understood. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And I heard you earlier said that right now, I know things aren't really moving on the MLS. Are you basically sort of steering away from installments or anything like that unless it's well above that 30 or 30 is still your threshold?
If it's well above the 30, I'll do an installment. If it's right around 30, I will do a wholesale on it. Because people don't really scoff at like 30K assignment fees. Sometimes they do. Like funds don't want you doing over 20. So if we plan on selling it to a fund, I'll also do an installment if it's turnkey. And then like I'm just gonna be straight up honest too. Like as the person who does a ton of installments in North Carolina, I would rather do a novation because I don't have to pay. I don't want to have to pay for closing. I don't want to lose 4K of profits because I gotta pay for closing costs. So like I would rather just not. John, are you gonna say something?
Getting an echoing.
Yeah, tell me again. Okay, cool. So yeah, I mean, like the only reason why I would use an installment in North Carolina is to lock in profits, or if I know I'm putting it on the MLS. If I know I'm putting on the MLS and I'm gonna make a lot, because then if it's a novation, they still have to sign it. They still have to sign the HUD or the settlement statement, which I don't want. So really, if I know I'm making a lot of money on a deal, I'm going to do an installment.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then one last question here. It seemed like some of the leads in the course were warm for you. Like you knew these were potential deals, like they were qualified. How do you qualify leads before they come to you so that you can really maximize your time? Because I work full time.
Yep. So this is, and I think I sent you a Voxer or a Loom on this one. Of like, you probably, what I would say for you is to like hire a service like Call Porter or something like that. Either hire Call Porter, because what they'll do is they'll take all like your that's inbound leads. You just need to hire or train your caller. If you have a cold caller that's doing cold calling for you, train them to be an appointment setter for you for the times that you could take appointments, or do inbound marketing and have it on for like the times that you are taking calls and stuff. Because like really, you need to maximize your time for like the highest use. So I just don't know what your budget is for those things. I know that you're like getting it on the grind right now. If I were you, I probably would focus a little bit more on foreclosures because I think you would resonate. People like you would your conversations and the way that you are. If you dialed in your foreclosure process and like those conversations, that would probably be like the highest and best use of your time than like absentee owners or big data stuff. I would say that, man. That's probably going to be the best for you. All right. Feeling good? I feel like this is pretty good. I appreciate y'all. I like this group. Y'all are awesome. This has been fantastic.
Thanks, Devin.
Yeah. If y'all need anything, of course, let me know. Hopefully you guys are liking Slack. I get those notifications a lot more, so I'm responding a lot quicker in there. So hopefully like Slack has been good for you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I really like it.
All right, y'all. If y'all don't need anything else, I'm gonna head out. I'll
Cool.
please. Actually, I'll do like a little chat GPT thing of this, give it to Tiffany, so we make sure everything that I've mentioned in here, I'll get you guys. I think I need to get you guys like Audantic, so like buyer sonar info. I need to get you guys the investor based stuff. I also need to get you from last week. Somebody asked for like the yearly goal thing. Need to get you all that too. Is there anything else that you need that I'm missing that anybody would like? I'll also probably. Ooh, go ahead.
The North and South Carolina foreclosure, the attorneys, foreclosure attorneys.
You keep
the
asking
link
me.
in
Yes.
those.
Okay. I'll get that too. John?
Thanks.
Nothing too much. I think you went over how you got the leads and what you ended up doing. And one of the things that we don't focus on that I think is also a good idea is the sub two of the possibilities of getting assignment fees like that, because we just focus on doesn't meet the 70-30 rule, which is kind of like really cutting our knees off, because there's a lot of potential there and possibility of profits as well. Even though that most people don't see it. So I kind of understand but I do understand now of how to build the buyers list up the way that it needs to be for people that are interested whenever it doesn't meet that 70-30 rule, but it's just more based upon the interest rate and then more of a cash flow thing. So I do appreciate that.
So on sub twos, when we assign sub twos, we set entry fees based off of principal balance, interest rate, and then like arrears, right? So like those, like people are going to pay way more money for a 2% interest rate because the cash flow is better. People are going to pay way more money if it has a principal balance. Go ahead.
Do you feel like there's a challenge though sometimes whenever, let's just say the reinstatement is like, let's say 45, 50,000 or even 60,000, and then trying to put your assignment fee on top of that? Do you feel like there is some type of conflict whenever it comes to finding buyers for that?
And you're talking about, so like for me, I would say when it comes
is there
to
a ceiling?
No, so the ceiling is whatever anybody's willing to pay for that house. So sometimes like because I'm trying to get 30K for a house that needs like 70K in renovations. So like at that point, some people are like, I can't do that.
Right.
Because that's just too much. So really it just depends. And sometimes you're just SOL. If it needs too much renovations or they owe too much in arrears, then you just can't get a big assignment fee from it if you're gonna do a sub 2 assignment. So that just is the nature of it. So
Sure.
You just kind of take your hits and then go to the next one. But it really depends on like what the entry fee would be for somebody. I like to wrap it all in, and I'm like, hey, entry fee is 30K. That includes reinstatement. That includes cash to the seller. That includes my assignment fee. And then people are like,
so do you ever feel like if it was like $80,000-$90,000 that
I mean that house has to be like nice. That has to be like a good cash flowing or a big house because I what I also think of, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. What I also think of is like they would have to put down 20% to buy the house with the loan anyways. Like why wouldn't they just do that unless the interest rate is so low? So I typically I try to sell at like 12 to 15%. That's what I try to sell sub twos at 12 to 15%. Because I try to get sub twos at less than 10%. I try my entry fee to be less than 10%. So I try to sell at an entry fee around 10 to 15, because otherwise they might as well just go get a loan and put down 20%.
I love what you just said with that formula right there. I'm going to definitely give it a try to see if we can get some more action out of that, because what we're just doing is only coming to a conclusion based upon doesn't meet that rule of 70-30 or 65-35,
Yeah.
and we're missing out on revenue. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Sweet.
What is that before you hop off, the sub to what is that under 10% of what? What is that number that you're
Like ARV. Because if you think
Okay.
about it, somebody's gonna buy the house. And if they, I mean, like, if somebody's like, holy smokes, I can buy a house with 10% down,
Right.
they're like, heck yeah. Because then you have, right then, that's first time investors that will buy something like that. That's not just like savvy investors. If they can put down 10%, less than 10%, or 10 to 15% and get an interest rate at like 3 or 4%, they'll do it because it cash flows.
Yeah. Cool.
So, yep.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate y'all. Oh, okay. See ya. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are awesome, man. Y'all take it easy.
Take care.
Thanks, Devin. Appreciate you, buddy.
Bye. Yes, indeed.
All right, bye.
Have a good day. Trying to get out of this thing.